For 4 years, the skies over Ukraine have been the world's most violent laboratory for drone warfare. Whilst the West was theorising about electronic warfare, the Ukrainians were actually living it. And now the ISW reports a fascinating shift. The student has become the master. Zelenskyy has got some cards that Trump is asking as a favour. We're seeing reports of specialised Ukrainian mobile fire groups arriving in Tel Aviv and Abu Dhabi. These aren't just soldiers, they're drone hunters. Ukraine's battle plan for the Middle East is based on 3 hard-learned lessons. Acoustic detection. Ukrainians have perfected the art of listening for the lawnmower engine buzz of the Shahed 136 using networked microphones. They're now helping the IDF set up a sonic wall across the Golan Heights. Low-cost interception. You don't use a $1 or $2 million Patriot missile to kill a $20,000 or $30,000 drone. The Ukrainians are teaching the coalition how to use Gepard anti-aircraft guns and even heavy machine guns with thermal optics to swat these suicide mopeds out of the sky for pennies on the dollar, or to use Ukrainian designed and supplied anti-drone drones to do the same. GPS spoofing. This is the big one. Ukrainian electronic warfare specialists are deploying blackout zones that confuse the Russian-provided GLONASS guidance systems the Iranians rely on. But it's not just defence. Ukraine is teaching the coalition how to go on the offensive. The ISW notes that the IRGC's greatest strength, their mobile truck-launched missile launchers, are now being hunted by FPV, these first-person view drones. This is Ukraine's method, using $500 racing drones rigged with explosives to take out multi-million-dollar missile batteries. In the mountains of Iran, where F-35s might struggle to spot a hidden truck under a camouflage net, a Ukrainian trained drone pilot can fly a suicide quadcopter right into the garage door. Why is Kyiv doing this? It's simple: strategic reciprocity. Every Shahed drone destroyed over Riyadh or Tel Aviv is one fewer drone that can be shipped into the front lines in the Donbass. By helping the West dismantle the Iranian drone factory, Ukraine is effectively winning its own war by proxy. And so this is the most fascinating development, the entry of Ukraine as the defence exporter in the Middle East. But the problem? Gulf states, UAE, Saudi, Bahrain are burning through millions of dollars of Patriot missiles to intercept tens of thousands of dollar value Shahed drones. The math is quite unsustainable. The Sting solution. Ukraine's Wild Hornets have developed the Sting, an AI-guided 343 kilometers per hour interceptor drone costing only $2,100 each. You can buy them on the link. No, you can't. Link below. The trade, Zelenskyy has used the Iranian attacks on Saudi oil refineries, Ras Tanura, to pitch drones for pressure. This is political pressure. In the Oval Office, Donald Trump said that President Zelenskyy did not have any cards to play. The Americans have now come to the Ukrainians, and President Zelenskyy is playing those cards that he didn't have at the Americans' request. It is also helping to influence Saudi Arabia, the Israelis, other actors within the Middle East to reduce any support that they were showing for Vladimir Putin and focus that support on their current saviour, President Zelenskyy and Ukraine. So this is putting potential pressure on Moscow for a ceasefire and the release of Patriot missile stocks back to Kyiv. If Zelenskyy can save the stocks in the Middle East, there may be more available for him. If he can't, he knows he won't get them. February the 28th, a date that will go down in military history as the day the shadow war finally stepped into the light. So we're seeing the coming together of a massive fleet of aircraft carriers all converging on the Gulf, but they're not just United States aircraft carriers. We've got the French nuclear-powered Charles de Gaulle operating in waters near Cyprus. It had already been out on exercise. It was deployed to sea with its complement on there and was shifted to Cyprus easily. It wasn't deployed specifically for this because the British HMS Prince of Wales has just come back from months of deployment down in Southeast Asia and was in port getting refurbished and has had its notice to move reduced. It may not be moving to the Mediterranean, it may be going out into the North Atlantic to provide security there. because American firepower is coming in very heavily. We have the USS Abraham Lincoln, a massive aircraft carrier. We have the USS Gerald R. Ford, another massive aircraft carrier. And powering across the Atlantic is the George W. Bush coming in. Never before have we had the French joining such a powerful American aircraft carrier fleet. The last time we saw 3 US aircraft carriers in the region was during the last Gulf War. And whether the British are going to send an aircraft carrier or not into the region matters not, because the British have got a permanent aircraft carrier based in the Eastern Mediterranean. It's called the Sovereign Base Area and RAF Akrotiri. And of course, British aircraft are flying out of fixed airfields in Oman, supporting activities in the Middle East. So we have our permanent aircraft carrier there. The Prince of Wales, Donald Trump said, you're not needed. Well, it isn't needed because Cyprus is there. France and the Americans need their capabilities. And France is protecting the EU countries to the south. So as the power of the Western aircraft carriers come in, the Iranians, they didn't quite have an aircraft carrier. They had a drone carrier, which was a converted civilian tanker, the Iris Shahid Bagheri. The Shahed Bagheri was Tehran's first drone tanker, but it had its career cut short in the opening hours of the conflict, like we have seen with the majority of the Iranian Navy. The strike on March the 2nd, 2026, with hours of the commencement of Operation Epic Fury, US Central Command confirmed that US forces had successfully struck the vessel. It was a conversion of the Pererin, a 42,000-ton South Korean-built container ship. The modifications Iranian engineers added was a 180-metre angled flight deck and a ski jump ramp. It was designed to carry up to 60 UAVs, including the Shahed 136 kamikaze drones, but also the Mohajer 6 and supposedly the stealthy Kahir 313. The design flaw, experts pointed out that the large central container ship superstructure remained, creating dangerous air turbulence for any drone trying to land. A death trap design that Western analysts had largely dismissed before it was hit. So battle plans around the world are expanding. We're not just seeing what's going on in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. We're seeing links between what the Russians are doing and what is happening in the Middle East. We're seeing links between the Ukrainian defences and what the West is having to do to defend against Iran's attacks in the Middle East. It is a coming together. We shouldn't forget that all of these conflicts around the world are not conflicts in isolation. They're conflicts where there are political allegiances, there are technological allegiances and technological swaps of information. There are weapons being swapped around, and the potential for them to link up remains. We're still off that, but we will keep on top of any growing tensions and any growing links here on Battle Plans Exposed.